What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And with crypto, regardless of fundamentals being 80 to 90% down on altcoins, what is the outlook for 2026? Who have been the winners so far in the past 4 years, if any? And what can we learn from this point onwards to try and make some good money in this bear market, which is really what altcoins have been in since 2021 or 2022, the start of the last bear market, with the occasional pump here and there. Only selected few, the data shows, have had what resembles even close to a bull market. Smash a like and let's go. So what we're seeing here, regardless of fundamentals, Near Protocol got to $20 and above. And that was in the last cycle. And in fact, this was the 2021 top. And currently, Near Protocol sits around $1. Let me just change this. Near Protocol sits around $1.50. Around there, $1.50. So with that being the price, right? And Near Protocol not getting above, significantly above $10 anytime during the last four years, what fundamental or what kind of catalyst can take this project back into its all-time high? Because we are already looking at a crazy gains if the market continues. And we do understand that this price so far, there'll be major resistance at this $8 to $10. But this particular price here is not unimaginable. Near Protocol now is less than $10 billion. So despite the fact that it's a long ask and it's not one of the winners, in fact, it's been one of the disappointing ones this cycle. But what makes me believe a project like this will do very well is the fact that they've been building, their staking is now improved. They've got burning and of course burn mechanisms built into the protocol now. So fundamentally they've been, I can see where this could go, right? And hitting $20 is a massive ask from where we are now. But I can see an off the bat 20x, 15 to 20x return in a very short amount of time if we get an all season. Because where we are now fundamentally is a bear market. Another example, CCIP, Chainlink, last cycle. In 2021, Chainlink hit $53 or just under $53. And ever since then, we've not really gone any close to that price. And so far, what we have is a $12.50. Majority of the accumulation was around $7 to $8 for a very long time, right? So this should have been a massive spring, but of course, it's not really done anything of significance in that run. But is Chainlink a bad project? Absolutely not. Chainlink is fundamental to crypto. In fact, it's actually outside of crypto being used by the likes of the S&P 500, the US government, and so forth. So what we're seeing now, a couple of things. We've not been in a bull market. In fact, Chainlink's returns over time is minus 42%. Okay? Minus 42%. So if you look at where we are now, could we really go back here and go through a prolonged bear market of accumulation? One thing's for sure, crypto has shown you where money is going to flow to. So we don't make the same mistakes that we always do or we did in the past, because ultimately if the prices become so attractive, it's only a matter of time when a fundamental play like this could catch fire. So pushing past $52 is the task. In the short term, $30 is a key resistance, $27 for Chainlink, but it's not been in a bull market at all. In fact, far from it. And some people will be very lucky that it's around this price, those who trade it, those who own it. But it tells you it's not been one of the winners of the cycle so far. Another coin, right? This one hasn't had a top in 2021 because it wasn't around. But back in March, April 2024, this hit a $1.14 with a TVL of just $12 million. Okay, so it's one of the lowest TVLs to hit this price. So these weekly candles, you know, you had consecutive weekly candles here of monumental proportions. So perhaps this was its own bull run, and so far it's the case. It has been there ever since. Now there was this 60-70 cents pump here in November 2025 when literally we saw the top of the altcoins. But one thing I've noticed is they have a 1 million daily active users. Okay, you know, DAO as I call it. Now ultimately this price action here is a bear market price action because this is below or about to be below the October manipulation candle. Okay, and what you're looking for is consecutive weeks of growth like it's had here to this kind of price. Right now, I can see this being an easy 10x. Okay, if we dip below this price here, that's going to be a monumental ask. And that will be when everybody just kind of capitulates. Okay, so in my opinion, looking at TVL, which is around $200 million, looking at the fundamentals, okay, 400 millisecond finality, long term, I think it does well. So far in this cycle, it has not been one of the winners. And that's what we're looking at. But long term, it's a long-term play. Okay. But so far you could see there is no way that downtrend represents any significant gains. And unless you were out last year, you've not made any money on this particular bad boy. Next one, Render. Interesting. Render's all-time high, right? Came in 2024 and that was $14. Now, of course, previous all-time high was beaten, and right now it's around $1.50. In my opinion, Render, if anyone's holding Render from 52, whatever I was buying last cycle, around these depths here, then I sold it around here. So I did make a decent amount. But Render here right now is almost a 10x guarantee to 20x, in my opinion. Fundamentally, institutional coin, it's not going to go anywhere. But 2024 all-time high is achievable and doable. In fact, I would love to see Render below $1, because if it comes back to below $1, that confirms definitely the big bear market for me, and I would start accumulating again. Has it had a good run? Well, as far as I can see, going from 54 cents when I bought it and going all the way up to $14, yes, I would say it's one of the ones that has had a win. Ethereum. Has Ethereum had the bull cycle that we all expected it to have? So Ethereum also crossed the finish line in 2021, 4,890, just to summarize, but 4878 was the all-time high. And it literally pushed past that, 4954, barely breaking it through, but it does count. The king of smart contracts delivered on making new highs. But here's what's interesting. The margin is razor thin. I mean, we're looking at 2% from here to here. But has it had a bull market? You could argue it did. So the fact that, I mean, you know, the definition of a bear market, without actually going into details, what we can see is some of the projects have had a bull market regardless of gains. So if the market corrects now, the structure looks decent here, right? So, you know, the structure is decent. The target for my target was around 10 to 12,000 for Ethereum. We may still get there depending on the last 3 months being a bear market. And of course, whether that bear market is a short bear market moving into 2026, we should see fireworks. But it is one of the winners. Nobody can argue and say, of course, we didn't get our 3 or 5x ETH gains. That hasn't happened. However, it's made a new all-time high. You know, and that be, you know, at the end of the day, just like Render, surprise performer in 2021, it was $8. It doubled. It had a 64% gain, right? So that's also a winner. We saw Chainlink going nowhere near close to what it was. Around $30 was this year or this cycle's all-time high, and despite a major institutional chain oracle, Link couldn't reclaim its glory. Near Protocol, $20 plus in January 2022. Best it could do this cycle was $9, 56% below all-time high. However, they have worked tremendously during this time to obviously now being, to a point where they were able to stake and many other things and integrate into privacy and AI and DeFi, AI and everything else. Okay, so what I'm showing you is price is doing one thing. Bull market, bear market. Some coins have had a bear market for a long time, and some of them have had, like Ethereum, a 2% gain over 4 years. Not much, but it is what it is, right? The one that's had a bull market here, okay? Let's talk about Solana. So Solana post FTX was absolutely wrecked. This has been the clearest winner of the cycle. If we talk about clear winners, 260, 300, or 296, right? Ethereum in November 2021 did $260. Everyone thought it was over when it collapsed. In fact, I remember buying, Solana. I remember buying Solana for $8.90 on the night of FTX or thereafter. I was accumulating them, right? So after $8, everybody thought, nah, this is over. It's done. But against all the odds, and you have to go all the way back to, November 2022 to really understand how bad the FTX collapse was and the fear in the market. That was definitely, the current fear is worse because of what's been going on. But at that time, crypto retail, that was soul crushing. To see this asset go to 260 and go all the way down to $8. But against all the odds, it did it. It didn't just recover. It made new all-time highs of nearly 296, right? It's one of these. Just, right? 13% gain from a previous cycle. And it's a true alt-season performer when you consider what we've been talking about here. $8, $20, $8. January 2023, it was like $14 or even less, right? At some point, it climbed up to $20. But it's had, beaten that. And this is being the cycle's biggest winner, because if you look at the gains from top to bottom, they have been astronomical. And if anyone's calling for a bear market, it's the Solana crew, because they've made multiple gains here. Okay, so that's the biggest winner. But apart from Solana, apart from Render, and a 2% Ethereum, nothing else has worked out. Sui. Now, Sui is a new coin, all-time high, January, just before the inauguration of Trump, $5.36, and now $1.42. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting level here and an interesting level here for this coin to hold, because this coin is brand new. It's going into its first cycle, and it's just looked like it's finished its first cycle. So if you've been buying at these lows in 2023, it's had a bull market. As far as people are saying $40, right? $50, that's all bullshit. We are still a long way away from that. But what I can see this doing is right now, if we can hold the current lows, there's a new ETF filing from Bitwise. It's one of only 5 cryptocurrencies with Bitwise ETF that's fully working. So I do see, if you investigate these fundamentals, I can see this going back to all-time highs, but it has been a clear winner from the bear market depths of 2023 after it launched to where it is today. Last but not least, Avalanche. Now, Avalanche is an example of, you know, again, near protocol, Chainlink, Avalanche. These aren't shitcoins. It's the most painful example of what 2021 has done. AVAX traded at $147.5. And this cycle dropped to around it went up to 65. Still, it's down crazy amount from its all-time high. 4 years, massive ecosystem, institutional partnership adoption. AVAX holders from 2021 are still underwater, those that didn't sell. Okay. So ultimately, what we're seeing now is a massive difference between, if we can call this and these two waves in 2024 and 2025, the bull cycle, then obviously crypto as we know it is dead. But what I'm expecting is fundamentals at the end of the day come through. These guys have partnerships with, I'm not asking you to buy these, by the way. I'm just giving you as a microcosm of what the greater picture looks like in crypto, right? Scary hours, completely insane. And this research is thorough because what it does is it gives me an idea of what I'm looking at and in relation to the shitcoins. Because if you look at shitcoins right now, shitcoins have done nothing. And ultimately, that is going to get worse. So I would advise anyone to try and seriously start thinking about any bounces in the market, rebalance your portfolio, right? Hope the video is helpful. I'm telling you, the most strongest cryptocurrencies with real world adoption, unless the game is changed now, and these companies have obviously sold a lot of tokens over the years, they've become institutionally adopted, and therefore the crypto side is just speculation and not really the asset itself. The asset is the company. Perhaps that's what retail created, and perhaps that's how we hand over the batons to TradFi coming in as we see it. But it's a pessimistic way of looking at crypto, because one thing's for sure, money's going to be printed. They're going to speculate. And once they speculate, guess what happens? They will run this back up. Ultimately, you really got to do some due diligence. And what I've showed you here is only a few have won so far. But don't forget, those that haven't actually moved could change your life totally in 2026 and beyond. How far we go into I'd expect we'll have a rally at some point and then capitulation after Q1. And of course, then we go into a bear market, prolonged. Or we could continue this bear market into 2026. Who knows? But what I've been seeing from the macro side of things with the Fed, the labor market, it is time to knuckle down and grab some of these assets. Not financial advice. Do your own research. Bloody do lots of research. Look at TVL. Look at the active daily users. And most importantly, look at the teams. Hope you liked the video. I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Take care.